So we've looked a lot at how final gathering, the theory of it and how it works. Let's actually look at a production scenario to see how we can set it up. So if we go to the region options, we have a final gathering tab. We can just enable it. And we have this new preview mode in 4.0, which lets you get a quick look at the final gathering result before it actually begins the final render. So that's pretty useful. There's also this fast lookup option, and that actually is only effective when you're using final gathering in conjunction with global illumination. And basically what it does is it attaches additional information to the global illumination photon so that when the final gathering pass is being done, it can access that additional information on the photons and render the final gathering quicker. So if you're not using GI, it doesn't really apply. And I'm going to quickly just turn that on to auto compute to get a better result. And now the whole concept with using final gathering for lighting is to actually light your scene using objects or textures. So for example, if I go and grab a simple grid here, I'm just going to decrease the subdivisions here and we can scale that up. Something like that. And let's go to the front view. We'll just translate that up. So you can see it's having a moderate effect on the lighting. It's a little bit brighter. If I actually go and let's apply a Phong material to the object, and because the ambient is a little bit higher here, we're getting a brighter look. If I change the diffuse component, you can see it's having very little effect on the actual lighting change. If I then go and bring up the ambient, you can see the effect is quite strong. So you can basically think of the ambient on your objects as a way to control the intensity of that object for final gathering lighting. So here we've got quite a strong effect. We can tune that as we want. A much easier way, I guess, to light with final gathering is to use constant materials on objects. So if I play a constant material to the grid, we can see immediately we're having a much stronger effect and a little more dynamic kind of look. And that's because we're not going through a basic illumination shader that has ambient, diffuse, specular. Instead, we're using kind of a pure color value. So we get a stronger result because of that. So this is basically the way you can light your scene, is basically to throw in these grids or large objects. A popular concept is using the curved dome to create diffuse lighting, and coloring them using the render tree or constant material. One thing to keep in mind is with our lighting, we actually want to take our regular lights and probably bring those down. I actually bring them often down to 0 because I don't want much light being contributed by the direct illumination sources, because I find the final gathering alone gives a much softer, more diffuse look. So I prefer to light the scene entirely with final gathering and keep the light sources to a minimum.